matters. For our next item on our today's agenda, I have the honor to yield the floor to Madam Chair. Madam Chair, over to you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I'll call on Honorable Sila to lead us in Muslim prayers and Honorable Joyner to lead us in Christian prayers.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين إن الذين قالوا ربنا الله ثم استقاموا تتنزل عليهم الملائكة أن لا تخافوا ولا تحزنوا وأبشروا بالجنة التي كنتم تدعون نحن أولياؤكم في الحياة الدنيا وفي الآخرة ولكم فيها ما تشتهي أنفسكم ولكم فيها ما تدعون نزلا من غفور رحيم ومن أحسن قولا ممن دعا إلى الله وعمل صالحا وقال إنني من المسلمين إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما صلى الله تعالى عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما برحمة اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد الفاتح لما أخلق والخاتم لما سبق نازل الحق بالحق والهادي إلى صراطك المستقيم وعلى آله حق قدره ومقدار عظيم سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين آمين.
In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, Amen. Almighty and eternal Father, we exalt and magnify your glorious name for yet another awesome opportunity to be alive. We ascribe honor, glory, and praise for the blessings attached to this day. Go with us as we sojourn pilgrims' path. We are weak, but thou art mighty. Hold us with thy powerful hand. Preserve us from sudden death and pestilence of today. Breathe on us your breath. Fill us with new life. Grant us favor, renewed strength, inner peace and joy. Fill our cups to overflow. Give us joy in your hearts. Give us joy in our hearts. And as we continue to lift up our eyes unto the hills that sends forth our help, your goodness and mercy shall abide with us as we continue to dwell in the house forever, in your house forevermore. Amen.
Good afternoon, Mr. Witness. You may kindly take your seat. For continuation of your testimony before this Commission of Inquiry into Local Government Councils and related matters, I want to remind you again that you are still on the oath before I hand you over to Madam Chair for us to proceed. Thank you. Madam Chair, over to you.
Good afternoon, Mayor Bensouda.
Good afternoon.
You're welcome back.
Thank you.
Council, you may proceed.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson and Commissioners, and everyone present. And we will be proceeding with the issues regarding the trucks, the 19 trucks. Now, you've had a legal opinion
Yes.
from the Ministry of Justice, correct?
Yes.
Now, can you guide the Commission as to what the legal opinion was about?
I believe after the signing of the contract,
Yes.
I believe either the council or one of the committees asked the CEO to seek legal opinion. But unfortunately, it was after the fact. It should have been before the fact.
Why was that? Why was it after the fact?
It must have been the CEO rushed to sign the contract, which we did not think was prudent.
All right. Did you seek advice from council's lawyer before sending or requesting for legal opinion from the Minister of Justice after signing the contract?
Yes, the council lawyer, I believe, looks at all contracts. The CEO is supposed to send all contracts.
Now, was it known to the General Counsel that they should send this? It's prudent to send the contract, draft contract, to the Ministry of Justice before signatures were obtained from the parties?
I believe the reason it was done was probably raised by the councillors or raised by a committee, because we don't usually send any contracts to the ministry.
Now, do you have a copy of the contract?
I don't have it with me, no. My only copy is with you.
Can we please give the witness a copy of the contract? Yeah, but there is one here. Here. There should be one there. Now, some issues were highlighted in the legal opinion. Because the contract requires that a fixed deposit of $4 million is be opened with Ajib Bank. You recall this?
Yes.
Please go to 1.3.6.
Yes.
Can you please read that?
The council will maintain a fixed deposit account in the books of Ajib Bank Limited with a minimum balance of $4 million. At all times, shortfalls in monthly installments will be recovered from this fixed deposit account and account replenished immediately with no less than the amount of the installment recovered thereof.
Okay. Was that done?
The $4 million?
No, was a fixed deposit account open?
I believe it should have been done.
It should have been.
Yes.
But do we know whether it was open?
I cannot confirm that.
Okay. If you are given time to confirm that, will you be able to confirm that?
I can ask the CEO that was there.
Okay. Now, we know that the $4 million instead was paid to Quantum Limited. We have the voucher number 1887. Do you recognize that voucher?
Yes, the voucher says 4 million paid to Quantum Limited, being payment of 19 trucks.
Okay, thank you. May I please have the voucher so that I apply to have it admitted into evidence? I've confirmed with the registrar it is not in evidence. We apply to tender a payment voucher. The number is 181887. The date is 15th of March 2019. Attached to the voucher is a letter from Espas Motors Quantum Limited. It is 13th of March 2019, requesting for deposit of proceeds of the operations of KMC garbage compactor trucks, skip trucks, and septic emptier in account number 101010100009720. It is signed by Jim Gay and Usman Kebe. Jim Gay is the sales manager, Usman Kebe the general manager. And an award of contract on the 15th of February 2019 from KMC, Carnifing Municipal Council, addressed to the Managing Director, Espas Motors, signed by Jaja Cham. The agreement document signed by KMC for Jaja Cham, Fatumata S. Saho, the procurement officer, is the witness, and Jim Gay, for the sales manager for Espas Motors, to be admitted into evidence and marked as an exhibit.
A Carnifing Municipal Council payment voucher dated 15th of March 2019, and the payee is Quantum Net Limited. Transactions were done through Trust Bank, and the amount transferred was $4 million. And the description for the payment is the payment for 19 compact trucks for council as per letter attached. The Quantum Net account details, which is the Arab Gambia Islamic Bank. The account name is Quantum Net, and the account number is provided there too, and the BBAN number. Further attached to this is a letter dated the 13th of March 2019. It is addressed to the CEO of Carnifing Municipal Council. The letter emanated from Quantum Net, Espas Motors, and it is signed by Jim Gay, sales manager, and Usman Kebe, general manager. A letter dated the 15th of February 2019. It is addressed to the Managing Director, Espas Motors, and the subject of the letter is award of contract. It is signed by Jaja Cham, acting CEO, and is copied to the Lord Mayor, and a file copy is retained. Attached to this letter is an agreement between Kanifing Municipal Council and Espas Motors. The final document is dated the 15th of March 2019. The attention of the managing director is drawn, that is Trust Bank Limited. The letter is from Kanifing Municipal Council, and it has subject interbank transfer. The letter is signed indicating an authorized signature, 2 signatures thereof. These documents are admitted together as exhibit in evidence, and they are marked as LGC/KMC/TAB/015.
As the commission places. May I please have that document so that you use exhibit 015? 015. Thank you. Yes, 1.3.6 requires that there be a fixed deposit account. So we don't see an evidence of deposit account, fixed deposit account, but what we see is a payment directly made to Quantum, correct?
Yes.
Good. Now, on what basis was that payment made directly to Quantum?
So in your document you provided just now, there's a page you noted duty, and there's a letter there titled restructuring of loan facility.
Right.
Dated, I think, September 2019. So when I read the letter, it was indicating that KMC had not yet funded the fixed deposit account and was asking Ajib for more time because there was unpredicted duty charged of 13.1 million. So that indicates to me that the fixed deposit was not funded, and the 4 million here is a part payment.
Okay. Now, the part payment of what?
Towards the trucks.
Towards the trucks. Is that would not be in line with the agreement, would it be? The agreement is signed in March.
The agreement is signed on 6th March, and the payment is made on 15th March.
March.
So that
and then the payment was made well before the letter was sent. This letter for the facility restructuring is sent on the 17th of September 2019.
Yeah, so what I'm saying basically, the numbers 4 million, to me seems like a coincidence.
Right.
But this 4 million voucher is a payment after the contract is signed.
Right.
Advance payment towards the purchase of the trucks.
Right. So that's why I said it would not be in line with the agreement. So if you look at it, the KMC only demonstrated the position of its position regarding facility restructuring, bringing out issues with respect to financing in September 2019. But they have already had $4 million, which should have been deposited in the fixed deposit account. So if the $4 million existed and is with KMC, they have that money, why not open the fixed deposit account in accordance with the agreement?
So the payment is in line with the agreement. The 4 million is an advance payment towards the purchase of the trucks.
Right.
Because that first year we should have paid, I don't know how much amount, but
right.
we should finance the trucks over 3 years.
Right.
So that 4 million is an advance payment after the contract is signed.
Right.
Now the 4 million fixed deposit is something that the bank came up with, or Espas, and they said in case KMC was falling behind its schedule of payments that agreed, they will use that fixed deposit. But as per September, it seems that it was not in place because KMC was having cash flow issues.
Yes.
After the 13.1 million.
Yes.
Duty.
So the agreement was not varied, was it?
Say it again, sorry.
The agreement was not varied at any point.
issue, because if I can understand you, you're trying to establish the fact that the agreement is saying that the fixed deposit of 4 million ought to have been deposited in a council account at Ajib Bank.
Right.
And you are asking the question, why was it paid to Espas Motors?
Yes.
Is that the question?
Yes.
Can we have clarity on the answer to that? Because
Yes.
I cannot get the answer. I do understand that the 4 million is advance payment. 4 million is supposed to be an advance payment as per what you have agreed in the agreement. But the answer to the question, I cannot get it.
Okay, so
Why was it not paid as per what is contained in the agreement at the Ajib Bank, being a council account maintained at Ajib Bank, which they would have a lien on?
yes, so what I understand from the documents
Yes.
and what my memory can serve is that the numbers 4 are for two different activities. But because they are 4 million, it creates confusion. The 4 million voucher is advance payment against the contract, the purchase of the trucks, this voucher. So this was paid after the signage of the contract with Espas Motors. So the 4 million was an advance payment or an initial payment. Now the fixed deposit, which is what Ajib wants us to maintain, sort of to cover any shortfalls, was not in place at this time. And based on the letter I just read, even as of September, it was still not in place, and the council was asking them to delay it because we have a 13.1 million duty charge. So though the numbers are similar, it's for unrelated transactions.
Council, proceed.
Yes, so we go back to it. Now, the contract, may I have the voucher, please? Now, let me just go through the contract. It says on Article 1 that the supplier shall supply the following items: 19 compactor trucks. 1.2, the trucks shall fully conform to the detailed description set out in the technical specification. Now 1.3, the contract includes the provisions of 1.3.1, manufacturer's recommended spare parts for a period of 3 years. 1.3.2, accessories and consumables necessary for normal operations of the goods during 3 years and as set out in the technical specification. 1.3.3, the supplier should provide a list of all essential spare parts and the current prices. And you go to 1.3.5, the procurement of the waste of the trucks will be done by the ward development committees and facilitated by the KMC. Furthermore, the trucks themselves would serve as guarantors or security to the facility or for Espas, and the trucks would be in joint name of Espas and the WDCs. Now, 1.3.6, Council will maintain a fixed deposit account in the books of Ajib Limited with a minimum balance of $4 million at all times. Shortfalls in monthly installments will be recovered from this fixed deposit. Now, the agreement is that the ward committees would be financing the trucks, correct?
Yes.
Good. And so there would not be any need for an advance payment from KMC directly unless there were shortfalls from the ward development committees. You understand that? So if the committees are not paying as required, then KMC perhaps may have an obligation to pay. That is the essence of the 4 million.
Yes, so the formula was that the trucks would be charging,
right,
and then reporting to the WDCs,
right,
and KMC would subsidize the WDCs.
Yes.
But if I can remember correctly,
right,
the administration was not comfortable with that,
right,
because they did not want basically non-council staff handling the cash,
yes,
and they were fearful of leakages and accountability issues. So somewhere along the line, of that discussion, it changed. That let the administration handle the Mbalit project.
Okay, but this is strictly with respect to the contract that is signed. The contract still reflects that the 1.3.5, that the procurement of the trucks will be done by the Ward Development Committee. Is now the contract that's now been signed by both parties, correct?
Yes.
And so the contracts would be binding to the parties, correct?
Yes, yes.
Good. So if it says that the procurement of the trucks will be done by the Ward Development Committees, what does that mean?
So I would need to get the full information. Like I said, the administration is directly dealing with this. But from my recollection, what we agreed, I think I was also pushing for it, that we should avoid non-council staff handling cash.
Right.
And the WDCs were not secure to handle millions of dollars. So the fear was leakages.
Yes.
Now the 4 million advance, how they agreed with the administration, I cannot recall the exact details. What I know is SPAS wanted an advance because remember the WDCs, even if they were operating the trucks, would not be able to generate revenue until the trucks had arrived.
Yes.
And at that point, the trucks hadn't arrived.
Okay. So that if we are to go by the agreement that was signed between SPAS Motors and KMC, it is the Ward Development Committees that were procuring the trucks, going by the agreement 1.3.5.
Through the facilitation of KMC.
Yes. Now, that facilitation, is it defined what it means in this agreement? I think you have a copy.
I don't have a copy here.
The agreement should be there in that document. We have it. Okay. You can use this copy. 1.3.5. Can you please kindly read it aloud?
The procurement of the trucks will be done by the Ward Development Committees and facilitated by KMC. Furthermore, the trucks themselves will serve as a guarantor security to the facility or for SPAS, and trucks would be in the joint name of SPAS and the WDCs.
Now, what does that mean, that paragraph?
Well, the WDCs were the ones to purchase the truck through the facilitation of KMC.
Is that what obtained in actual fact?
Well, yeah, I guess facilitation is a broad word. I don't know whether the administration at the time were doing an advance payment towards the trucks. Maybe the WDCs would pay back. But what I know is during the period when the agreement was signed to the period when the trucks came, there was raging debates about the preparedness and capacity of WDCs to actually run this service effectively with full accountability. And I remember it was agreed through the Wardways Committee that now let them centralize the operation through the council administration.
Right. So what was signed by the parties, KMC and SPAS Motors, to state that WDCs would be procuring trucks was not in fact the case?
Well, like I said, that clause is open for, I guess, discretion. What does facilitate really define? So facilitation is to support the project. It could be financially, it could be operationally. So that would be open for discretion. I think that's why through the feedback through the Ministry of Justice, they found certain loopholes in the contract they felt that should have been looked at before signage.
So what did what facilitate meant to council at the time?
To support the process fully and ensure the project was successful, financially, administratively, technically, operationally.
So it is vague?
It is vague.
Good. Yeah. And it would be proper to have a very specific terms of contract if you are to engage into a contract like this?
The contract could have been made better.
Better?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I will read the opinion of the Ministry of Justice. It says that this clause is problematic. It requires KMC to maintain a fixed deposit account with a bank designated by the supplier, Due to the nature of the fixed deposit accounts, this clause does not state that what will happen with the sum deposited in the account upon completion of the agreement. Further, the agreement does not specify if the interest accrued in the fixed deposit account will be returned to the council. Now, these are the things that were identified.
Yeah.
Now, in addition to the things that were identified is what we are discussing now. Because if the ESPAS is to agree that the purchasers would be the ward development committees,
Yes.
then it means that the council has no immediate liability to pay for the trucks, because the ward development committees are the ones to pay for the trucks, and which they agreed to and signed.
Yes, so like I said, the idea was charge the residents, recover the money, but then operationally it was problematic. One, ESPAS wanted advance payment because they are ordering the trucks. Two, the trucks need to generate a revenue before they are paid back. That was also problematic. So it was a first of its kind. Of course, in hindsight, you think this is where we could have improved, this is where we could have done it better. And like I said, I don't know what initiated us to write to the Ministry of Justice for advice, but you could see we initiated that process. But of course, they said, well, you should have asked us. It would have been better to ask us before you go ahead and sign the contract. But I guess it was part of the learning curve.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, so back to the 4 million.
Yes.
If it is paid as an advance payment, did the contract agreement feature or provide for any clause for advance payment by council itself?
Well, the contract says the amount should be paid within a 3-year period, starting from the contract signage.
Okay.
So the obligation was on the WDCs, but in KMC, the WDCs and the councils are one and the same. It's just like the government and the ministries. They are arms of the council. But like I said, throughout the discussions, there were second thoughts about what would be the capacity of WDCs to run this. It's a multi-million-dollar project, heavy equipment, deals with a lot of cash. It would need capacity, it would need accountability. So at some point, we changed tactics.
So this being highlighted would suggest that in practical terms, there was no way that the WDCs could fund this project.
When we started looking at the prices and we started looking at what would be the socially acceptable charge, we determined that it would not be possible without the council's support for the WDCs to pull off this project. So that's why subsequently we started budgeting support in the council's budget, subsidies or basically direct from our council funds. Yeah.
When was this?
I believe it was done throughout the year. I believe there was several moments, but I know for sure 2020 it was inputted in our council budget. The
in
one
2020
approved by the ministry. 2019, I believe the CEO would remember better, but 2019. In 2019, there was a submission to the ministry. No, sorry, this is 2018. Sorry. Okay, this was 2018 supplementary budget request to the ministry. I brought it because there was another issue we were discussing. But usually there's violence, and there should be a request for supplementary budget. I could find one for 2018, but not for 2019.
Okay, so it will be correct to say that the council knew or realized that the WDCs could not fund this project sometime in 2020.
No, sometime in 2019, before the truck kicked off. Because before we went operational, the system had already changed. So council had run the project from the beginning.
That was after the trucks were purchased or before the trucks were purchased?
I believe some point during the year of 2019.
2019.
But before the trucks arrived. The councillors were not happy with it. They wanted to run the trucks themselves. But after the pushback from the administration and my advice, we believe that it would be very risky for them to run the trucks.
But all this happened after the contracts were signed?
I believe so.
Now, which shows that there was no feasibility studies to determine the pros and the cons of the project prior to the contract was signed.
So the project manager was running surveys, what I remember. What he was running was different surveys. But in terms of, so I have some sheets here about the routes he developed and the potential prices. He was running surveys, but that's why I was trying to get a hold of him to see if he had any project documents. But so far, this is what he has on his email, he said. Okay.
So council, before signing the contract, were not presented with a feasibility study to show evidence, at least evidence of the capabilities of the WDCs to fund this project?
I believe yesterday I submitted a document that showed projections. Of 59 million a year, but based on the original charges of $100 per household.
Yes, yeah. Which was not tried and tested before.
It was not tried because, like I said, the councillors decided, after the consultation with their communities, said $100 was too much.
Exactly.
So it has to come down to $10.
Yes, and all this was before the signing of the contract.
I think a lot of these things happened after the signing of the contract, waiting for the trucks to come.
Okay.
Yeah.
So would it not be more prudent to have the proper feasibility studies done before the contract is signed? So
it would have been best in hindsight to have feasibility study, to have a consultant, etc. But I believe there was a project manager, so a lot of these things usually cost a lot of money to get off the ground. But in hindsight, like generally with everything, I think a lot could have been done better. But I think for the most part, it was successful.
Right. Now, Espas Motors. Yeah. Did the council approach Ajib Bank first in trying to secure a loan so as to engage in this project or not?
That would be the administration, but I think before we even engaged in the project, there was a lot of consultations with different potential partners to determine willingness and feasibility before we went on tender.
How many partners?
I can remember the car vendors were asked if they had compactor trucks, but I'm not sure of the banks.
Okay, so because the evidence we see is that I think we have interviewed Samba Faye. Samba Faye? Samba Faye was the employee for Ajib Bank, liaison the account officer for KMC, and he had said that they had KMC tried to approach Ajib Bank, and Ajib had thought that they would not give a loan of that amount because the project would not be feasible.
Yes. So, like I said, at the initial stages in 2018,
viable. Sorry. Yeah.
Yes, there was a lot of consultation because it was to proof of concept, is to test the idea. Is it feasible, is not feasible? So one was, can we approach our sister councils? So this can be a Greater Banjul area project. The other was, can we do hire purchase? Can we lease? Can we hire finance? Can we approach financiers? Can we approach vendors? So I think there was a lot of, like in the local language, lambato, to know whether this is feasible or not.
Okay. Yeah. Now, Espas Motors were able to have an agreement with KMC. Were they funding the project through pre-financing?
So when we tendered, I believe, based on my memory, there was two respondents. I think there was TK Motors and I think there was Espas. But I think Espas's advantage is their group owns a bank, which is Ajib. So they were in a position to do what the council was in a position to engage on, which is pre-financing, because we don't want to take the loan, we don't have any collateral to give them, we cannot guarantee them, we cannot get them government guarantees. So who would be able to take the risk, and they were the only ones in that position.
Okay. Now, Espas Motors got the financing from Ajib Bank. Yes. And then KMC, is there any contract that exists between KMC and Ajib Bank?
I believe Ajib has been a banker for KMC even before we have arrived.
Right.
And we were told before we had arrived, they had once loaned KMC for some market development or something. So they were already a partner of KMC separate from Espas.
Yes, so for this agreement, is there any agreement that you have, KMC, with Ajib Bank in relation to the trucks? Direct agreement with?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. Now, so that the liability or the obligation is between two Espas Motors?
Yes, so the agreement is as KMC pays more, the trucks would be transferred to KMC's name, and what we don't pay will still remain in Espas's name.
Espas's name.
If there's any default, then we look at what money was spent and we share the trucks.
Okay, why is that stated in the agreement? Do we have that in the agreement?
I think it's in one of your clauses where it says the trucks will serve as a guarantee.
Yes, the truck will serve as a guarantee.
Guarantee, yes.
Now, what does that mean?
So when there's a guarantee and there's a, can I have the contract?
Yes.
Sorry. So in 1.3.5, the procurement of the trucks will be done by the WDC and facilitated by KMC. Furthermore, the trucks themselves would serve as a guarantor, security to the facility or for Espas, and the trucks would be in the joint name of Espas and the WDCs. So the reason the trucks are in the joint ownership of the WDCs and Espas, if there's a breach of contract or if there's cancellation of contract, then what it implies is that we would look at the money we have paid versus the trucks we had received, and then we would basically tally. That's what it implies. So I guess that's why the Ministry of Justice says the contract should have been more detailed.
Yes. So it creates issues if we don't have these express provisions to clearly state the position of each party in the contract. And I see the letter you have referred to me from KMC, signed by Jaya Cham on the 17th of September 2019, addressed to Ajib, the Managing Director Ajib Bank, which raised the facility restructuring. That is to inform you that our agreement with you to maintain a 4 million deposit account in your bank as a measure to meet any shortfalls of the performance of our WDC valid operational account is still in place. Is there an agreement between, I had asked this question, is there an agreement between KMC and Ajib Bank?
Not to my knowledge. I believe he was referring to the agreement with Espas.
Okay. So that the reason why Jaya Cham wrote this is that when Ajib Bank was questioned as what authority they have going after KMC, because there is no agreement between Ajib Bank and KMC. They said they were authorized by Espas Motors to go after KMC. But would that be proper? Because there is no agreement between Ajib Bank and KMC?
So our agreement is with Espas, not Ajib Bank.
Not Ajib Bank.
So his letter should have been addressed to ESPAS and not Ajib.
And not Ajib Bank. Good. Now, so the KMC subsequently paying monies to Quantum,
Which is ESPAS parent company.
which is ESPAN parent company.
Yes.
And then eventually, within 3 years, the finance was completed.
Yes.
Would that not amount to a loan?
No, so we were avoiding, so a loan would imply several things. Would imply that if we default,
Right.
there's consequences.
Right.
Would imply that we have to give collateral.
Right.
You know, so it's this is a financial arrangement for sure, but not in the terminology of a loan, because then the loan would have to put taxpayers' money at risk. So that's what we were avoiding. So meaning anything we pay for, we get value in return, which would be the trucks in our joint name.
The advance payment, was it a financial obligation or was it a discretion?
So the CEO would be best to answer that. I don't know what arrangement or discussion he had between ESPAS. What the council is concerned about is whether the set agreed amount over the 3-year period is paid for
By
the council and not overpaid.
by WDC.
Well, like I said, it changed.
On paper, it did not change. On the contract, there was no addendum to the contract.
There was no addendum to the contract, but I believe it changed through the Ward Waste Committee and the council discussions.
Now, why was there no need for an addendum to the contract to remedy these vague clauses?
Well, like I said, in hindsight, there's many things that could have been improved and done better. Definitely, like I said, we pushed opinion to the Ministry of Justice, which should have been done before the signage of the contract.
Right.
So there's a lot of things that could have been done much better, for sure.
So that's why I said it appears to be and have all the hallmarks of a loan. And if it is not a loan, how would we describe it? Because it is either a direct payment, a purchase, direct purchase, or a loan agreement, because KMC did not for sure make a direct payment to the ESPAS models, correct?
No, our payments were to ESPAS, the ESPAS Ajib account.
To Ajib account, to Ajib.
No,
The payments,
ESPAS has an Ajib account.
Ajib account, yes. So that's why I said the payments were made, they were instrumental payments, which were not provided for by the contract. So that if there was no direct purchase from KMC to, from KMC to ESPAS models, there was no agreement for a direct purchase, which means KMC is engaged in a loan transaction from our point of view. Now, if you were to say, for instance, it's not a loan transaction, what would it be?
So it's not a loan transactions. Transactions such as this can come in many forms. Public-private partnerships, joint investments. We can have a SPV, special purpose vehicle. This is, you can have a hire purchase, you can have a lease. This is, like I said, a pre-financing arrangement. So it doesn't fall under the category of a loan, because our restriction would be, how do we guarantee this? How do we provide collateral which would put the assets and wealth of the taxpayer at risk, which would need the, like I said, the ministerial approval. That's why we sent that to the Ministry of Lands. The agreement we sent to the Ministry of Lands, and they said, no, we don't have the capacity. We will forward it to our sister ministry, which is the Ministry of Justice, who gave all these advices and sent back to us through the Ministry of Lands. So it doesn't fall under the category of a loan. But like I said, there's many things that could have been done better in hindsight, but it's part of the learning curve.
Okay, so if it is, just to conclude on that, if it's not a loan and it's not a direct payment, how would you describe it? Where does it fall on?
It's pre-finance.
Pre-finance. And if it is pre-finance, then that is what the loan is about. No. Because if they are pre-financing, and they are paying first to purchase the 19 trucks, and you're paying in installment, it means you have agreed with the, you as in the council have agreed with the supplier to not purchase directly.
So, for example, when we even have construction projects,
Right.
You can ask the winning bidder to pre-finance until you are in a position to pay the required installments. So it's the same arrangement. That's why it says, it said 36 equal installments in the contract, but we could not meet that. So we had to wait till the council was, especially at its high tax season, to be able to pay the money. So in many parts, they were very flexible with us.
The 36 payment was, the obligation was on WDC, not KMC.
Yeah, so like I said, the original idea and the contract, which you rightly said, was about the WDC, but we changed tact. It would have been better to amend the contract, but what we were doing was basically budgeting through our council budget for the purchase of the trucks. That is why when the transfer of ownership was made, it was not made to the WDCs, it was made to KMC. So KMC owns the trucks and not the WDC.
Now, let me read further to you what Jaja wrote. Said, however, due to our recent payment of 13.1 million being payment of duty waiver of this said WDC 19 trucks has brought our bank balance significantly down. Now, KMC paid $13.1 million duty
For
waiver.
the duty, yes.
Where was that?
Well, there was a letter I sent to you, I believe. We wrote a letter to the ministry requesting a duty waiver, which is standard, but they refused. I believe I have their rejection letter here.
Yes.
But there was a lot of push and pull in the background, which is not administrative, but rather political. But at the end of the day, in their letter dated 3rd October 2019, they said, this is from the Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs.
May Bensouda kindly
Sure.
give the
So this is
State
a
Council the letter to check. Then when we admit it, you can read it out.
So this is a letter from the Ministry of Finance to Ministry of Lands in reaction to our request.
We apply to tender the letter from the Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs, addressed to the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Lands, Regional Government and Religious Affairs. Says application for duty waiver on the 3rd of October 2019 is the date.
A letter dated the 3rd of October 2019. It has reference ADM 245/124/01, Part 4 in brackets 21. The letter is addressed to the Permanent Secretary, Ministry for Lands, Regional Government and Religious Affairs. The letter is from the Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs. It has the caption, application for duty waiver. It is signed by Yamundao C. for Permanent Secretary. It is copied to Kanifing Municipal Council and the file copy is retained. This letter is admitted in evidence as an exhibit. It is marked as LGC/KMC/TAB/016.
As the Commission, please give the witness the letter too.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So it's a letter dated 3rd October 2019 from the Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs. to the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Lands and Regional Government and Religious Affairs, Quadrangle, re-application for duty waiver. The ministry is writing in response to your letter reference LM62, etc., dated 28 September 2019, on the above subject matter on behalf of the Carnegie Municipal Council for duty and VAT exemption on waste management trucks procured through Espas Motors. The ministry is hereby informing you that your request for duty waiver cannot be granted. Therefore, KMC is advised to pay all taxes associated with the above items. We count on your usual cooperation and understanding. Yamunda C for the Permanent Secretary.
May I please have the letter? So what are their reasons for not agreeing?
I don't know to date.
Okay. And now what was the council's reason for applying for duty waiver?
Council is a government body, so we apply for duty waivers, and we always get it, with the exception of just these trucks.
Now, the importer or the supplier is who? Is
Espas.
Espas. Are they not supposed to be the ones to apply for duty waiver?
No. So when we purchase vehicles, even after it being imported, because a lot of the vehicles come duty free, they go into certain warehouses. I forgot the name of the warehouses anyway, but duty is only paid when the vehicle is sold.
Right.
So in the case of government buying a vehicle, the duty is waived after approval from the Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs. And KMC, all our vehicles, all our SUVs have been purchased in the same manner.
All right. So, but this is the problem, because this was not, I'm not trying to say that they should not have, or they should have denied you the duty waiver application. Now, you've had your own experiences with the Ministry of Finance, like you've said, with respect to your application, so you know whether positive or negative, what was the norm. But here, strictly speaking, in relation to contracts, for instance, you have an agreement where even the identification of the parties in the contract is a problem. It's also been outlined by the legal opinion. It says, introductory part of the agreement, issues that were highlighted by in the legal opinion, that this part of the agreement does not clearly identify the proper parties to the contract. And the recommendations were Article 1.3.5 of the agreement makes reference to Ward Development Committee who will have joint ownership with Espas Motors over the compactor truck. It is imperative that the Ward Development Committee be a party to the agreement. Thus, the introductory part of the agreement needs to be rewarded. So you see, so the opinion is saying, even though the introductory part, which says the parties are KMC and Espas Motors, in the text of the contract, KMC should not have been a party either, because of the obligations, or there be a tripartite agreement between KMC, the ward committees, and the Espas Motors. You see that?
Well, I can assure you that's not the reason for the rejection of the duty waiver. Like I said, there's a lot that was happening behind the scenes, but the KMC always gets duty waivers on all our procurements of vehicles. Even when we get donated items, we get duty waivers. So it's a standard between KMC and the GRA to get a duty waiver. But in this case, they rejected it. And so we had to get our trucks out.
So there was an expectation that there would be a duty waiver based on previous experiences.
Of course, we get duty waivers all the time.
But you will also understand that from our point of view, like you said, there may be reasons as to the rejection, but we cannot dwell on that because of the fact that what we do as lawyers is just to look at the documentation and to see as to whether what was supposed to be done was done as out of abundance of caution. So just because I have approved over the years may not necessarily mean that that will be the case. You understand that? So it was safe to factor that in the contract.
So I think the ministry should have been very clear as to what KMC should do to acquire the duty waiver. Even our WDCs always get duty waivers. We have brought 6 fire trucks, 9 ambulances. They all got duty waivers through our WDC of Talinding South. And we never share our contracts with GRA. It's automatic. But like I said, there was a lot of things happening behind the scenes that I don't think is anyway necessary.
Okay, so, but you...
Let me just find out. Mayor, the contract was signed between KMC, and you have clearly stated that it is with Espas Motors.
Yeah.
And you have further said that it is a pre-financing facility that was given to you. Now, my question is, did you ascertain whether in this pre-financing facility, whether issues of cost were factored? Because it is not I believe that the pre-financing facility came with cost.
Yes.
And it also factored their profits.
Yes.
So where you are purchasing,
Yes.
and there is the 100% certainty that you are paying from taxpayers' money to finance that purchase,
Yes.
did you look into what is the cost element that Espas was going to benefit from this transaction to allow you to ask for duty waiver? Because it just makes sense. If you have to ask for duty waiver, the assumption is that government gives council duty waiver knowing, for example, where you are the one that is procuring, you are not giving it to a company to do, then perhaps you will be entitled as a council to have the duty, because you are taking direct money from your revenue in purchasing items that are beneficial and crucial to the execution of your functions. So therefore, if you seek duty waiver, it should be presumed that government would consider granting that. But where it is a company that is purchasing for you and has factored profit, has factored cost, and all of that element, do you think it's prudent to have requested for duty waiver?
Yes, because we have got duty waiver from vehicles we have bought from Espas.
From Espas?
Yes, in the same financing model. We even bought trucks through our CAP project, Espas, and we got duty waivers. The only time we never got duty waivers is in this specific transaction. But vehicles we've bought from...
So now I am asking you, as a head of institution, and somebody that is managing KMC,
Yes.
do you think it is correct? Finance can give you the duty waiver, but will it be correct in your assumption for them to have done that when it is a profit-oriented entity that is selling you this and making profit out of it, and you are paying the same, using the taxpayers' money to pay to this company who is making profit?
So all the procurements we contract, somebody is making profit. Even with government, everything they buy, somebody is making profit. The issue is not about the profit of the vendor. The issue is that taxpayers would have to have this burden. So the duty waiver...
That is exactly where I am going.
So the duty waiver is to remove the burden from the taxpayer. Like I said, even...
Now, did you reflect that during the course of the procurement process? Did you reflect, for instance, did you project that if duty waiver is done, after calculating what is supposed to be the duty, did you reflect that in the cost?
We never think about duty because it's automatic. I think this is the first time in the history of KMC duty was charged before and after the fact.
And also, you have never assumed, because as you rightly said, that it is the taxpayer that is going to bear the cost.
Yes, because it's never happened.
Yes, so, and it has never happened that you sat and looked at that cost element being reduced or deducted from the entire financing facility.
So it was...
Because if they are giving you a duty waiver, you understand, just like you said, you would have, as the beneficiary, knocked off that element from his cost.
No. So the cost is before duty. So the way the vendors work, all
Yes.
the costs they give you are before duty.
Okay.
VAT and duty is for the customer to pay for. So if you are duty waiver exempt or VAT exempt, then they waive it. But if you are not exempt, then you have to
Pay.
pay it. Yeah.
Council proceed.
Yes, just to conclude on that, now it is more of a privilege that the procuring organizations have based on their arrangement with Ministry of Finance than a right that the procuring organizations have in relation to procurement for duty waiver, correct?
I would say it would be a privilege if you were a private entity.
Right.
But if you're a public entity which belongs to the people, it's just more pain for the people. So I wouldn't consider it a privilege. I say it's a right.
Okay, so a right will suggest that it is provided somewhere in regulations because financial institutions or government institutions are guided by regulation. So for instance, there must have been a clause or a law that states that when procuring vehicles or engaging in procurement, that government should or shall provide duty waiver. Do we have that?
Well, I believe GRA has a list of duty waiver exempt or people who are qualified for duty waiver. But like I said, at the end of the day, it's their decision. But we believe that KMC is qualified because we have gotten duty waivers before this transaction. We have gotten duty waivers after this transaction. And even in the same transaction, where we bought the same trucks from Espas with the same financing scheme, we got duty waivers. It was only this unique situation.
No, I understand that. I understand that. I understand what you're trying to say. My point is, like I said initially, whether Ministry of Finance or GRA through Ministry of Finance should grant the duty waiver or not. That's not the argument that we have as lawyers or we can make. That's purely between the relationship between KMC and GRA or Ministry of Finance. But my point I'm trying to make is whether the qualification to apply for duty waiver is automatic. That when you say automatic is once you are qualified, duty waiver must be granted. So the question would be whether there is a law that states that once you are qualified, duty waiver must be granted, so that government or through Ministry of Finance and GRA would not be proper if the law provides that they should or they must provide duty waiver and they did not.
I think they have their best to ask, and the CEO would know better. But from my experience and understanding, they have a list of classified organizations who can qualify for duty waiver, and KMC is one of them.
Yeah, qualified to apply for it. That's what I
Yes,
know.
yeah, it's to apply for it. Yeah.
Okay. Now, the duty waiver as well, just please give us a clarity on the duty waiver. Mr. Cham, on 17 September 2019, said the payment was not planned for on budget as the council was looking forward to a duty waiver approval on the vehicles. For your information, the council has forwarded a duty waiver application to the finance ministry through our parent ministry to claim our funds back. And so the 13.1 million was already paid by council before the application for duty waiver.
When we got the rejection, we had an emergency general council meeting.
Yes.
That the ministry was not willing to support our application.
Right.
And that's where we decided to pay for it, I believe.
Okay, but the rejection, is this one you're referring to the one you have provided? Or is there any other rejection aside from this one?
I cannot remember, like I said, it was a tense period. We were almost fighting. We got the rejection from GRA and the ministry. But then the trucks had to come out, so we had an emergency general council, voted to pay for the waiver, and then I think that was on the advice of GRA. Just pay for it, and then after you can reclaim it from the government.
Do you have any communications between KMC and GRA?
No, I don't. I remember it was very tense.
Okay.
Period.
It was more verbal than written?
I cannot.
You cannot recall?
All I remember, there was a big fight.
Okay, so that was why I am trying to highlight that part where the rejection was way after the payment was done. Now, Ajib Bank or Espas Motors. Did KMC engage Ajib Bank before the tenders were advertised?
I believe the administration engaged during the proof of concept all the potential vehicle vendors,
Okay, so
including Espas.
at the same time, or was one company given privilege of being engaged in relation to this purchase prior to the advertisement?
I believe all should have been engaged. The big
Okay.
ones, the credible
The big ones. Now I have, sorry, I'm trying to locate my reading glasses. I have the Carnegie Municipal Council Contracts Committee meeting dated the 14th of January 2019. Now, in the minutes of meeting, we have fourth paragraph. It reads that the company, the MD explained, that is the MD of Espas, explained he knew they could provide, the facility council was looking, but that they could not guarantee, what they could not guarantee was delivery of the trucks within the proposed time frame. As a result, they contacted their supplier to inquire, but the result was delivery of the consignment could not take place in March 2019. The reason being, council wanted brand new customized compactors. Now, he additionally added that they were made to believe that since the compactors were requested by the wards and they will be paying for it, the process may not require GPPA regulations. Thus, they went further to invite the manufacturing company to come on the ground and do a survey so that the compactors would be environmentally friendly and fit for purpose. So we have seen communications like this.
Yeah.
That showed us that Espas was engaged. Even in 2018, Espas was engaged, and then there was deep conversation and negotiations with respect to the trucks well before they start to realize that they have to follow GPA regulations. Were you aware of this?
Yes, so what I was aware was they were doing proof of concept,
Right.
knowing if there was vendors who are able to do it. But like you said, in that conversation, they were thinking that maybe they can go ahead because it's through the WDCs, they will not need GPPA,
Right.
because it's not through KMC.
Good.
But I believe that recommendation or that discussion was rejected at some point. That's why they were asked to go back to the proper tender process.
Yes, which Ajib eventually won because they have already invested in this. They've already invested before the bids were advertised. They've already invited the manufacturers on the ground to do a study, understand that, so that if they now eventually emerge as the winners, it would not show that there was a fair process, that one was not at disadvantage over the other.
Well, like I said, given the concept initially taken, the contracts committee was thinking, okay, this is an agreement between WDC and the vendor,
Right.
has nothing to do with KMC, but then they were rejected. But from my recollection, when the tender went out, the only, I think there was two bidders, TK Motors, I believe, and Espas.
Yes.
But only Espas was willing to do a pre-financing arrangement, which the council could only do, because we didn't have cash sitting in our accounts to procure these vehicles.
Now, Espas Motors, the position of the contracts committee did not subsequently change at any point, because they had maintained that they needed to have to know the nitty-gritties of the contract. So you can see even the contract itself showed exactly what they were saying in the minutes of the 14th January 2019, that the agreement is between Espas Motors and the World Development Committees who would be financing the trust. So that even maintained up to the time of in March 2019 when the contract was signed.
So I think that was not practicable. It is not possible for WDCs to enter into contract without KMC. And I think this is why they were pushed to go through the proper procedure, because the way they were going was not the proper procedure. as per the council's opinion.
Yes, but they still didn't go through the proper procedure as the issue. So they signed at the time, because the signing of the contract is when the obligations are set out and agreed upon, right? So that if the position has shifted that from the WDC financing this to KMC itself financing it, the evidence of that would show in the contract. But if you look at the terms of the contract, it still depicts the idea that the WDC would be financing this.
But in the headline of the contract, you will see this agreement is between KMC and Espas Moto. But in the fine print, like you said, the idea is KMC will facilitate on behalf of the WDC.
Yes.
But like I said, they could not engage Espas without GPPA approval and without council approval. That's why what I mean, they were pushed to go through the proper procurement process.
Yes.
Now, in terms of the arrangements made in the contract, that's where I agree that that could have been done better. We could have waited for the consultation of the Ministry of Justice, which is not obligatory, but is good. It's a good idea to do it. Like I said, I don't know what was the initiative to engage Ministry of Justice after the fact, but it was a bright idea by somebody. I'm not sure whether it was through the council or whether it was through a committee.
Now, do we know whether there was a council resolution to change position from the WDCs engaging in financing this project to the council itself directly financing this project?
So I don't think it was a council resolution. What I do remember, it was a series of discussions between the wastewater committee and the council as a body. So like I said before, sometimes the council agrees that this is the way forward, this is the best way forward, but sometimes that is not necessarily drafted into a resolution. One thing I can remember, the councillors were not very happy about that.
Yes.
They wanted to maintain control over the trucks, but the better judgment of the administration was, they are the accounting officers of council, and if they are supposed to facilitate, they must be in control.
So, even in the absence of a resolution, do we have minutes of meetings that will show that the position of the council have shifted from the WDC taking charge to council itself?
We would have to do some digging during that period to know whether that was featured in the discussions, but my giving of evidence is I remember that was an issue, yes, because I was also very fearful of the WDCs controlling these very expensive multi-million-dollar machines, okay, and also handling cash that cannot be, fully accounted for by the CEO.
Okay.
So I remember I had this pushback from them as well.
So in that case, is there a need for council to arrive at a decision?
Yes, like I said, it was agreed eventually after deliberations that, okay, this is the best course of action.
Yes, so again, how would we see evidence of that agreement?
That's why I said it has to be something that should be dug out in the minutes of the discussions during that period. But what I am testifying today is I remember that agreement.
So if you are to be given time here against Monday, will you be able to tell us whether you have that or not?
Well, I'll be traveling. I'm not sure how long we'll be here, but I can ask the clerk to search for it, and of course, when we find it, we can provide.
I will advise that you perhaps communicate to the council.
Yes, I will.
Sorry, the commissioners, okay, in advance, so that if you have a letter, they will be better advised as to your travel arrangements, so that that would not, if the time we have, that would not in any way affect your travel, and that would not, because that would not be the intention. If it is abrupt, I wouldn't think they can do anything about it. So now, the decisions of council in relation to shift in position, in relation to the signing of the contract. So when the contract was signed, what would you say was the decision of council in giving a go-ahead for council to sign an agreement with Espas?
So there should be GPPA approval, and there should be a council decision on the matter.
Okay. Now, the approval, of course, will stem up from we have seen a GPPA approval, yes, but we have not seen General Council's approval or agreement on the matter, stating clearly in no uncertain terms that KMC is given the go-ahead to sign a contract with Express Motors.
Well, if that is not drafted, that would be a major issue in terms of why would it not be drafted? Because I remember specifically the proprietor of Espas presented to the General Council twice,
Right.
where a vote happened and it was unanimous. And then there was another discussion with the general body where the councillors would ask specific questions about warranties, guarantees, terrain, build, the quality of the product, and there was a request for discount, and the Espas CEO or the Q Group CEO announced at the General Council that he would give a discount of 10 million for the Mbalit trucks and a subsequent 1 million for the additional 4 trucks. That all happened in my presence at
Yes.
the General Council.
Let me show you General Council resolution of the 31st of October 2018.
Yes.
Yes. Can you please read to us the resolution?
So 31st October 2018, Resolution 1, whereas members discussed the need to address the problem associated with waste collection and management, whereas members agreed to work with Q Group to ensure the procurement of 19 waste collection vehicles for the 19 wards within the municipality, resolve that the loan agreement with Q Group be effected and council serve as guarantor to 19 wards to ensure the delivery of the vehicles.
Yes. So this was certainly before the approval from GPA, correct?
Yes.
Now, in 2018, this was certainly before the other would be supplies, because it was a restricted tender before they were even contacted.
Yeah, so in line with what I've said before, initially the idea was how does the WDC work with Espas directly?
Yes, yes.
So I think this is the spirit of that resolution in the General Council,
Right.
where the council is under the impression that they would partner as WDCs with Espas.
Right.
But the situation evolved.
Right. Now, my point is, if as far back as 2018, Espas Motors have already had an edge and an agreement with KMC. For instance, they've already understanding that even, and it is clearly stated in the resolution, that the KMC should go ahead and work with Espas in this. And then subsequently in 2019, you have advertisements for bids being rolled out. Would that not defeat the purpose of transparency and fairness in bid processes?
So not really. So if I could give you some context,
Right.
This was the council being 3 months in office,
Yes.
not abreast with operations of council. This was when the councillors felt that, okay, now we are going to work with these vendors.
Right.
And then subsequently, we got advice, I believe, that this is not a good idea.
Yes.
This would not be by process.
Right.
You guys have to go through a tender, through your contracts committee. That's when the situation evolved. Now, of course, if the same vendor the councillors wanted to partner with bids in that competitive process and eventually wins that competitive process, people might say, okay, he already started chatting with them, etc., etc., etc. I mean, if it looks bad, doesn't mean it's bad. As far as the right procedures were followed, when the decision was making, it was the best decision at the time to the best of our ability. It was truly the best product with the best financing scheme and the best prices at the time. Then, yeah, then it's a good purchase on behalf of the council.
Yes. So not the purchase. The purchase can be good.
Yeah.
The outcome can in fact be good. the intention would be to serve the people, which no one should can question. The idea here is the legitimacy of the process, so that if already through several deliberations that experts models were invited, they had meetings with council, with contrast committees, as far back as 2018, up to a point that the General Council was satisfied, and they came up with a decision that now this contract be awarded to Espas Motors.
Yeah.
Now you have 2019, and they said a letter resolution I read to you, sorry, the minutes of meeting I read to you, saying, well, we have to follow procurement process, we have to regularize. It seems more of a formality than a fair process to other bidders.
So it is a fair process. I know it can look a certain way, but certainly the problem is when the bids were advertised, there is no respondents. So the problem is Espas cannot be competed, and that is the fact that's been proven with all the similar bids that they have been winning, recently with Birkama Area Council, Banjul City Council, even with the OIC vehicles, because they're the only group that has a bank as part of their makeup. So the problem was lack of choice. I mean, I would support your argument, or your argument may have some sort of credibility if the bids came and there was, let's say, Shebe Madi is also offering similar package, CFAO is offering similar package, but I mean, nobody can compete them. That's the challenge, that's the problem.
But someone can say that the terms and the requirements would have been carved out to suit the already agreed supplier.
Not really. I mean, the biggest problem for us was the ability of the vendor to refinance.
Right.
I think that was the challenge. We would have liked it even to be longer because council has many priorities, given that waste management, even though waste management is our #1 problem.
Right.
I think that was the edge for many of us, the ability that, okay, now we can get these working tools without having to shell out $100 million.
Now, as at the time the council arrived to a resolution to award the contract, going by that resolution, to Espas Motors, what was the issue with respect to engaging other suppliers at the time, because they were not engaged in this period?
Yeah, so this is not a contract. I think this is sort of an agreement to work with them. It
Yes.
could be an MOU, it could be go ahead, I give you the approval to go ahead and start building some sort of partnership. But like I said, soon after, we would have to go back and talk to the contracts committee, but I believe it's from one of the experts who said, no, this has to be through a proper procurement process, either an expert or the lawyer. But certainly we were advised that this is not the best course of action, and that's why it was reversed. Now, I remember specifically, during the bid, if I remember, when we were sitting on the council floor, TK Motors had also bidded. But the issue for the councillors was they were not in a position to pre-finance. They wanted a 3-month payment plan, if my memory serves me correct. Now, 3 months and 3 years, I mean, you cannot compare it.
Now, in 2019, January 2019, the position of the council or the contracts committee did not change. I have a contracts committee meeting, minutes of the 14th of January 2019. Sorry, the 13th of June 2019, where still the question regarding the agreement was discussed. You'll see on page 1.8. Do you please mind reading that?
This is
Yes.
contract committee meeting, it
Yes.
seems, dated 13 June 2019,
Yes.
and 1.8, a question was raised about the 19 Ward Trucks contract agreement with Espas Motors, and management is assigned to share documents signed with the company for the experts in contract committee to verify and ensure it is not council but the wards that should enter into an agreement in signing the document, as well as to ensure it is clearly spelled out on the document that the truck are not council's facility but the 19 wards. Furthermore, management was advised not to sign any loan agreement with Espas Ajib, but each of the wards should sign for the respective trucks 77. So, Jaja signed Jaja is the chairman of the CEO is the chairman of the contracts committee.
Yes.
And it seems this meeting is already 3 months after the contract he already signed.
Yes.
So I don't know what they were discussing, but as far as I'm concerned, this was already done and dusted.
Exactly.
So he's best to answer what they were discussing exactly.
Yes.
But it makes absolutely no sense to me because we had already signed the contract as it is, and he signed that contract.
Yes.
So I don't know what he was referring to.
Exactly. May I please see those
Yeah.
minutes? Because, like you said, exactly, if Jaya Champs was is the ones who signed the contract in March 2019, and is still stating that there were concerns still regarding the agreement.
By some of the contract committee members.
Committee members. And let me read it again, which says that the question was raised. A question was raised as about the 19 Ward Trucks contract agreement with Espas Motors, and management is assigned to share documents signed with the company for the experts in the contract committee to verify and ensure it is not cancelled, but the wards that should enter into an agreement in this sign the document, as well as to ensure it is clearly spelled out on the documents that the trucks are not council's facility, but the 19 wards. Furthermore, management was advised not to sign any loan agreement with Espas, but each of the wards should sign for their respective trucks. So again, like you said, he signed in March. April, May, June, he is not saying that he's the one who is challenging the process or to state that the press was wrong, but what he was saying is a member who raised the issue that the position of council did not change, and so that if council is to go ahead and sign a contract in March, that would, in the opinion of the member, or the position of the member who raised it, it would have been against the constant position of council or the contracts committee that the council should not sign this agreement.
So the discussion in that meeting, like you said, that area, I don't know what the member was actually talking about.
Right.
Because he's referring to a contract that's already signed.
Yes.
3 months after the fact.
Yes.
And they are the contracts committee who recommends and deals with GPPA.
Right.
And he's the chairman who signed the contract.
Right.
So I don't know whether it's an error in the capturing of what that person was trying to express, but it makes no sense. Why would you discuss a contract that you, the contracts committee, already signed? So it makes absolutely no sense. That's why I said maybe it's best for Jaja to try and explain.
We will call Jaja tomorrow.
Yes, but what I was basically referring to was the concept initially was, yes, let's do this through our WDCs. And yes, we would use our WDCs, and that way we can bypass GPPA, etc., all these procurement rules. But along the line, that changed.
Right.
Also, when we signed the contract, the idea was still let the WDCs operate these trucks.
Right.
But along the line, that also changed. This Mbalit has always been a consistent push, our tug of war, between the wards and the councillors and the administration. But the administration was always saying, we are the accounting officers. You guys don't have capacity. We should be the implementers and not you guys. So when you said, well, how come then that is not featured in the contractual agreement? Yes, those amendments should have been made. Maybe they were brought up, I don't remember. But certainly, in hindsight, many things could have been corrected.
So what this tells me in 1.8 is the question I have been asking, and you have said it needs a lot of digging to find out that, for instance, the position of council or a committee would have to change by evidence of agreement, right? You agree with that?
The council.
The position of a council or a committee, for instance, if a committee holds one position, for that to change, or there be a superseding position, there must be evidence of that. To say, now we have said earlier at some point that this was the position, now it has changed to this. And the Act told us, or tells us, as to how council changes position is based on voting, right? So that's why I am asking, because if it is raised in June, 3 months after the contract is signed, and I am not saying, for instance, whether the member is right to state that the position did not change, but if you look at the wordings, it is such that it is saying that management is assigned to share the document signed with the company for the experts in the contracts committee to verify and ensure it is not council, but the words that should enter into an agreement in this signing the document, as well as to ensure it is clearly spelled out on the document. So that what he's saying is, or she is saying is, this was the earlier position. We want to verify when we see the contract document that you did not do otherwise. I don't know whether you see my point.
Can I read that again? But
Good.
I believe it is best for the contracts committee chairperson. I'm not part of those meetings, but certainly that discussion is something should have happened before they signed.
Right.
Because they're the ones who negotiate and sign. So it says, a question was raised about 19 Ward Trucks contract agreement with Espas Motors, and management is assigned to share documents signed with the company for the experts in the contract committee to verify and to ensure it is not council but the wards that should enter into the agreement in signing the document, as well as to ensure it is clearly spelled out in the document that the trucks are not council's facility but the 19 wards. Furthermore, management was advised not to sign any loan agreement with Espas Ajib. So basically, I guess it's an expert who wants to verify what they discussed so I think the chairperson of the contracts committee should answer that, who's the CEO. So maybe he had acted without consulting his experts. So maybe, but that's certainly what is implying.
Good.
But one thing that is clear is, as per the agreement, the trucks should be in the name of the wards and the Espas Motors, which I believe is in the agreement. And also, it should not be a loan agreement, which I believe is not a loan agreement. They just wanted to verify those things, because council was very adamant that we cannot take any loans. So
why was that?
As per the law, we cannot put taxpayers' money at risk. If the project failed, basically, we cannot lose out. Because in a standard loan, if you take 100 million loan, no matter whether you pay the vendor or not, the bank comes to collect.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
but in this agreement, is a pre-finance. What you pay is what you keep. What you don't pay, you don't keep.
okay. So, if council is to not pay Espas Motors, what happens?
Then we would have to sit down with Espas. We calculate the value of what is already paid, and we calculate that as far as trucks are concerned. That's why we said it's a joint ownership.
So, Espas cannot hold you responsible to pay the full amount?
No,
At all?
at all.
So, is that in the contract?
That's why, yes, if you look at the contract, it says it should be joint ownership, and the trucks themselves will serve as the collateral.
Good. And so, if that is the case, and KMC did not factor all this, they didn't factor that the trucks, so the word WDCs cannot finance this initially, and then agreement is signed, which shows that WDC will finance, that will procure this. Now that it is evident that the WDC cannot finance this, would it not just be best to not tap from other revenue lines and do exactly what you said? The amount that was paid in the beginning was $4 million or thereabout. Amount that was paid, we see what we do with the trucks, and then we share the losses because the contract was not very clear in the first place.
Yeah, so remember, our challenge was waste management.
Right.
We are servants of the community. Our goal is how do we clear waste from the communities?
Right.
And that was the biggest challenge in KMC.
Right.
If you remember 2017, rioters from the market dumped waste in front of the mayor's office. So that always serves as a guide to clear waste in our communities. And this was our best bet. Having tapped all potentials at the time, we asked government for help. That was not coming. We were looking for grants. That was not coming. So we found this model as the best way to do it. So the goal was not about, contracts or whatnot. The goal is we need trucks to fix this problem.
Right.
How best we can do it in the most practicable way, we would do it. Along the way, of course, in hindsight always, you say, oh, we should have tried that, we should have done that, we should have corrected that. But what the council continually does is self-correct and learn on the job. True, there's always lapses, it's normal. But to learn on the job, adjust accordingly, consult, turn in the right corners and avoid big blunders that would collapse the council. And alhamdulillah, after 3 years, we fully own the trucks and we collect 70% of waste in the municipality.
Yes. It's because you said that you would not go for a loan facility because that will be a risk, a financial risk to council.
Yes.
But it ended up being a financial risk to council because council still keep on paying.
Not really, no.
The 4 million you paid first, was it budgeted for?
I would have to refer to what budget line they had charged that 4 million and refer to the exact budget at the time.
Okay, we have the voucher and the budget for 2019 and the payment voucher. Whilst we are looking at it, okay, see here. Do you have the voucher with you?
No.
Okay.
Is the voucher with you?
No, the voucher is not.
Mayor Bensouda, before you proceed on that, what was the total sum paid after the 3 years?
Based on my recollection, on the 19 trucks, the contract was $105 million for the 19 trucks.
105
And there was
million.
Yes.
This is what I'm asking is what is the actual payment that was done? Because you just said a few minutes ago that after 3 years you fully paid the sum total.
105 million should be the all-inclusive cost.
That was what was paid.
Yes.
Please provide us evidence of payment of this entire 105 million.
I believe the CEO has submitted all the vouchers, according to them, all the payment vouchers.
Yes, but the reason why I'm asking, we have perused the documents.
Okay.
We cannot see the entire 105 million.
The CEO should be in a position to show.
Can you liaise with the CEO and provide us with this?
That is Jaja Cham. He's in another area council now.
Yes, but you can liaise with him to provide us with this information because it's supposed to be documents in the custody of the council.
Well, they said they submitted all their vouchers here because I've been asking for many things. They said they've submitted all the vouchers here. So I think what they should show us is the budget lines they were charging this payment from, because what the council was doing, every year we would introduce a budget line for the trucks. In
So just take note and liaise with Mr. Cham to provide evidence of the payment of this 105 million to Espas Motors. Whether it's through budget, whether it's through transfers, whether, to put together that information. If he has submitted this, he will contact our accounts department to verify that.
Please, because I
But
think
we have gone through and we cannot do confirmations on this.
so. I think he's in, because I tried to contact him for other documents. He's in France. So I think him and the director of finance, Sirif Njai, they were the ones making these payments. When I asked them, they said they've submitted everything to the commission. So I think it would be better if we could call them and then they could.
Yes,
help
but
us,
they are not sitting here. We have asked, and the reason why we are asking is because you are conversant with the transaction of this project. One, two, this were your subordinates. And it's to call them to say, I have been requested to bring these documents to the commission, and please, you know what to do. So we are requesting that you provide us with this through your staff.
I will try to ask them.
Yes, and then the other thing I wanted to add before I get you back to the council is, can you also provide us with the tender documents from the bidders for this?
I believe they said they submitted all those documents.
Madam Chair, we have those ones.
You have the tender documents?
Yes.
Thank you for that.
Yes,
Yes,
you
you
wanted
may
me to
proceed.
check the budget line?
Madam Chair, do you want to proceed?
Yes, proceed, yes.
Thank you. Yes, we want to confirm because as we've agreed the last time, looking at the Finance and Audit Act 2004, that payments that are made must be budgeted for, so
Yes.
that in 2019, when the first 4 million was paid to Quantum, it should have been in the budget for the trucks.
So on this payment voucher, they're not referring to any budget line?
All right. And well, if you need time, we can give you time. But apparently, the payments that are made, if they are not budgeted for, would not be proper.
Yeah. So like I said, I don't know what budget line they use for
Yes.
this. I would love for Jaja to have to understand what payment line he used for this. But like I've said many a times, I believe the internal audit or national audit, usually they should bring this to the attention of the council, that there's a payment that is made, is unbudgeted, etc., so that the adjustments can be made. But one thing I know, in 2020, the amounts were inserted in our budget. I believe it was 46 million a year,
Right.
if I remember. Yeah.
Right. So, Jaja, by this time, his limit would have been for $500,000, the limit for Jaja as CEO.
I would assume he got council approval. Yes.
Then can we wait? Because if there's council's approval, it will, the minutes will show that there was approval from council.
If there's council approval, I will find out. But I assume this project was approved by council and the subsequent payments were approved by council.
All right. And so does council have authority, do you know, to approve a payment that is not budgeted for?
Yes, it's simple. You do supplementary or virement. That process usually happens.
And do you know whether virement was done for the 4 million or a supplementary budget?
These are all things the finance committee or the chairman of the contracts committee should know very well, but we can always find out.
All right, very well. We will give the witness time to find out the 4 million that was paid. At some point, we will come back to the price at some point, but then an additional 8 skip bins were procured. Do you recall this?
So there was 2 transactions, one for the Mbalit,
Right.
the other one was for 4 additional trucks.
Right.
I believe one of them was a skip truck with
Right.
eight, I remember 10, but they say 8 skip bins.
Yes.
You submitted. There were 2 skip trucks.
Okay, 2 skip trucks.
Yes.
And
The documents we
it
admitted
should have been
yesterday.
10 skip bins. I'm not sure, maybe it's 8.
Do we know whether this was subjected to procurement process?
I believe they were going through the same process as the Mbalit trucks.
Okay. Now, we know the 8 skip bins were not subjected to any procurement process. Now, in the minutes of meeting, contracts committee minutes of meeting 21st of November 2019, we have confirmed this with even the representatives of AGIP. They didn't take part in any any procurement process for this. But 5.0 talks about AOB, any other business. Says the CEO referred, sorry, 5.2. He further informed the meeting that after accepting to order and supply the additional 8 bins from the same manufacturer of two bins that come with the skip trucks to be procured, Espas Motors has delivered the bins at a unit price of $450,000, is totaling to 3.6. Observe that in efforts to verify the market price of the bins, management has sought for a quota from another company for locally made bins at a cost of $250,000 each. After thorough discussion on the matter, the meeting suggested that management to invite Espas for a negotiation in the price that they offered compared to the other company that was way below their price. Now in this 5.2, they were discussing the bins that Espas was charging $450,000, and which total would be 3.6 million. And when they found out through market research, they realized a bin would cost $250,000. Was this known to council?
So the skip bins are bought with the skips. So I don't know why that discussion should come up, because the reason you buy a skip truck is to have a complementary skip bin. So skip bins come as a complementary product to skip trucks,
right.
But that skip truck is useless.
Yes.
So basically, I don't know why it was not part of the purchase. Like
Good.
the CEO is best to answer that.
Right.
Because you cannot buy a skip truck of a certain specification and then go buy a skip bin which is not of that specification. We even had an issue in the case of Ibo Town Badala. We had a project sponsor one skip bin, and the councillor decided that they wanted to do a local, I think it was a WDC project called the PSUP through the Ministry of Lands and Local Government. So they gave the funds to the WDC. The councillor, instead of going to Espas, decided the WDC is going to go to a local welding parcel. They created a skip bin, it's still stuck in Ibo Town Badala because there's no compatibility with our trucks. Our trucks cannot lift it. Good. So when you are buying a skip truck, you should always buy the complementary skip bin,
yes,
or it's not compatible.
Exactly. So very correct. Now, how would council supervise this? Because to make sure that the additional procurement that was done, if there is need to do additional procurement based on the fault of council through its committees as well,
yeah,
through its committees, would it be right to go ahead with the procurement without following due process?
Well, they have to follow the due process, meaning they have to go through another procurement. So like I said, the chairman of the committee, I can't remember whether this was ever brought to the council. I assumed it was part of one purchase.
The same with the truck. So 5.1 reads, the CEO referred the committee to its decision at the 31st December meeting for the acquisition of 8 additional skip trucks, buckets, in bracket bins, that was oversighted in the specification during the procurement process of the council trucks. He emphasized that on a monthly basis, council outsources the management of the various communal dump sites at strategic positions within the municipality at an exorbitant cost, and it is prudent to provide an everlasting solution. So again, the bins together with the trucks, so the skip trucks, you realize that 8 of them were still subjected to procurement without following GP regulations.
So I guess he realized there was an oversight issue. So they should have come back to the same process to correct that oversight issue.
Now,
but we assume that
yes,
came as a complementary product. Yeah.
Okay. Now, what was council's responsibility in making sure? Because if we talk about back to the issue of authorization for withdrawal,
yeah,
and the CEO at the time who signs checks and the finance director together, they know they cannot sign checks of these amounts without following due process. The limit at the time was $500,000. Now, who has the the responsibility to make sure they perform their oversight function in making sure that there is procurement adherence and procedures.
So this could be traced by internal audit, it could be traced by the finance committee, local government accounts committee, or the national audit office. But to my knowledge, nobody traced this.
Now, were they delivered?
The skip buckets here with the trucks.
Okay. Now, if they were delivered, would that not, because the approval is only for 19 trucks. So if they were delivered, should questions not be asked by council to say, well, we never had approval for this. We only had approval for 19 trucks and that's it. And that should be paid for.
So to the council's knowledge and to my knowledge, it's a complementary, like I said. You cannot buy skip trucks without skip buckets. So we see them together. It's obvious that these things are coming together. So it's a complementary. It's the only way a skip truck can work is with a skip bucket.
But if you have a skip bucket that fits the specification, why purchase it?
Say it again?
If you have a skip bin, let's say you want to procure 10 trucks, in your case 19 trucks, KMC, but there are already skip bins that are available. Let's assume they were available. Now, you can still buy the trucks without the bins.
No. So I think maybe, so in the areas that are termed as communal dumps.
Right.
So the previous council used to hire a company through one of its councillors.
Right.
They will place trucks in strategic area.
Right.
So Bundung Jola Kunda, Buffer Zone, Bakau Nene Wali, Bakau K Point, Carnifing South. So these trucks, because they don't have waste collection, these trucks will be parking there all day.
Right.
So members of the community will bring their trash to these collection points. When the truck is full, it will go to the backwater dump site and come back. But remember, these are just areas that are strategic dump sites, meaning if you don't leave the truck there, the community will turn it into a dump site. When KMC, our KMC came, the practice continued, but not with the old contractor. The management found a new contractor, but it's exorbitantly expensive because these trucks would have to stay in these locations. You can be paying hundreds of thousands of dollars. It doesn't solve the household collection of waste. What it solves is the illegal dumps. Because now if you move these trucks away, people still come and dump. Eventually you will have to hire a shovel loader at $40,000 a day to shovel these waste into another truck. So that can cost you $100,000 for even one dump site. So basically the strategy, the waste management strategy, as per our Director of Services or Department of Services, is the council needs two solutions. One, how do we get rid of illegal dump sites or communal dump sites? And two, how do we collect waste at the household level? So the compactor trucks are brought to collect waste at the household level. The skip trucks are a strategic machinery that can now get rid of these communal dumps. So one skip truck can drop many skip bins. They take it from the annex, drop it at the strategic location. Go back to the annex, pick another one, drop it. When it's full, the attendant will call the truck to come pick it, tip it at the dump site, and bring the skip back. So the skip bin has to be compatible with the skip truck. So they are sold as a complementary product. They cannot be sold separately. However, some local weldermen look at it and say, oh, I can also recreate the skip bin, like in the case of Ibotown Bardala. They tried and they failed. When the skip truck goes, it has compatibility issues. It cannot pick the bin. Now KMC has about 30 skip bins and about, I believe, 30 skip bins and 4 skip trucks. When one is full, they pick, they tip, they return. They pick and tip and return. So that is the essence of that skip bin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if you say it is sold as a complementary,
yes,
together with the trucks, what would you mean by that?
So, what example can I use? So it's a complementary product, is like a telephone and a SIM card. So you cannot use a telephone without a SIM card. So
No,
it's the same.
we buy telephones all the time, and then they don't give you SIM cards, Mr. Benson.
Well, with technology now, but imagine when you had 3310 without a SIM card, you know. So this is basically the SIM card to the telephone. It's a complementary.
So when you buy it from Africell or QCell and they have their promotions, it comes with a SIM card. Yes,
Well, I don't want to go
have
into
bought.
SIM card debate, but
You brought it up.
you know, it's a complementary product,
Yes.
basically. They sort of connect.
Right.
Right, so the challenge now, if you go to a local welder, I mean, we have very good welders,
Yes.
but they are not using computers, they are not using machines that are welding to precision.
Right.
So that skip bin in Ibotown, when it lifted it,
Right.
it couldn't go on the
Okay.
skip truck.
So let me give it a definition the way I understand it. So you are saying you can't have a skip bin without a skip truck without having a skip bin.
No,
Is that what you meant by complementary?
yes, it's basically useless.
Okay, good. And I agree with that. Now to bring it back to procurement issues, right? So you need a skip bin and you need a skip truck. So it's complementary. And that's how it's supposed to work. Because if you have a skip truck and you don't have the bin that fits well with the truck, then there's no point,
No.
right? No point. Now, do you buy them together or do you buy them separate?
You have to buy them together.
Okay.
It makes no sense. No.
Sense. Now, if it is to be bought together and it is not bought together, is that Espace's fault or KMC's fault?
There's definitely a lapse somewhere. Somebody was not paying attention. Somebody
Where?
was
Who?
not doing their job.
Who was that?
Well, Espas shouldn't sell a truck without a bin, but definitely the onus of responsibility is on the CEO, who should ensure that it's compatible. But maybe he was not knowledgeable at the time or too busy.
How about council?
CEOs of KMC are too busy. Well, I think from our impression, how it was presented, was these are complementary products.
So, which means if the understanding of council, see the importance now of having very clear terms of in a contract. So, if the understanding of council is such that the trucks come with the skip bins, right?
Yeah.
And you receive the trucks, 19 trucks, and you realize that they did not come with skip bins, right?
I believe they were delivered together.
Sorry, the eight. They were all of them are delivered together?
I believe so, yes.
Yes, but what I mean for the pricing, what you have paid for. So what you have paid for is 19 trucks, and you have to subsequently pay more for the bins, right? So who bears the financial burden? If the understanding of KMC or the General Council is that they come together. So now who has the financial burden when it is not factored in the contract?
So if it's not factored in the contract, definitely it should have been advised by Espas, but the responsibility, like I said, is with the customer, which is the council,
Okay.
through its CEO. So how it fell through the cracks where nobody saw it, like I said, the councils rely on the expertise of contracts committees and the CEOs to ensure that it is done.
Yes.
And if it's not done, it should have been brought back to the council and say, look, we did this mistake. We have to go through another procurement process, etc. Now, this has to all be captured, of course, during the meetings, etc.
Yes.